I think before I talk, I always want to know my audience, whom I'm talking to. So how many of you are alternative producers, pork producers? You know? Okay, we have quite a few. So hopefully I think the information to the alternative producers will be useful. And also I want to get some feedback to see whether the numbers of the information I provided make sense to you. And second thing, I said I'm going to talk slowly. Make sure you understand my English. And I probably will ask questions to get more interactive with you during the presentation. Make sure you will not sleep on me and make sure you're following what I'm talking about. So as you know, the alternative swine production emphasize animal welfare, odor control, and also local food. But the major challenge for our alternative production, the producers must know pretty well, is the lower productivity or poor efficiency. So today I'm going to talk about how to build efficient alternative production systems. So I'm going to give you a brief overview on the alternative production performance. And then from there, we are going to identify what the major factors restricting performance or efficiency. And then I'm going to focus on our research done at the West Central Research Center, University of Minnesota, where I belong to, on reducing piglet mortality, because to us, piglet mortality is the major problem in our system. Here is the overview of alternative production performance. The data in the first three columns came from a survey by Iowa State University on 27 farms in 2007. And the next column is the data from West Central Research Center. That's our data in the same year. I also listed data from PigCham as a comparison of the conventional production. So if you compare our performance from West Central Research Center, the alternative producers of those 27 had fewer born alive and also weaned fewer piglets per liter, and piglet mortality is higher. And litter size weaned per sow per year is also fewer, and feed efficiency is poor. So compared with those 27 producers, looks like we are doing better. We are weaning 9.2 pigs per liter, and our preventing mortality is 19%. But our performance is still worse if you compare with the conventional production. And the data I listed here from us actually is the performance in 2007. And actually, during the early years, our performance were worse, more worse than this. So I'm going to show you, this is the 5 years performance at our research center, starting from 2003, when the system was first used. During the first year in 2003, we only used one room with 8 sows. And during that year, we didn't farrow in the summer. And actually, to us, summer is the problem. And I would like to know why summer is a problem to us. I think to a lot of producers, they may think winter is a problem. So that year, we didn't farrow in summer, and the performance was not bad. Piglet mortality was not that high. Starting from 2004, we started farrow year-round. And during the year between 2004 and 2005, our pig mortality is really high. You can see it's, You can see it's close to, it's about 30%. And in the year of 2005, during that summer, we had piglet mortality of 37%. And it's really bad. And when I came on board by the end of 2005, I was told, this system doesn't work. We need to work on reducing piglet mortality. We can't have that 37% of piglet mortality. So we started to work on that and did some changes in the management. We tried everything to reduce piglet mortality. I will tell you what we did later. Anyway, starting from 2006, looks like our number is getting better, and it's close to 20% mortality rate. But you can see in the summer months, we still have about 30% piglet mortality. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still, oh no. Okay. So the litter size weaned is really reflect the piglet mortality. Whenever piglet mortality is higher, litter size weaned is smaller. So you can see during the year of 2004 and 2005, we weaned on average about a little bit more than about 8 pigs per liter. And after 2006, we weaned about 9 pigs per liter. But you can see that during the summer of 2005, we only weaned 6.5. And even now, we still wean about 8 pigs per liter during the summer months. So at a certain point, we are now really better than any common alternative producers. The small litter size weaned, high pig mortality is really a problem we are struggling with. So, okay. From that, I think we can identify the major problem or major factors restricting performance in alternative production. Number one is we have 2 small litter size weaned, which is related to preventing mortality. And also, to me, our alternative producers had a smaller litter size at birth. So you start with smaller litter size at birth, and so if your litter size at birth is only 9 pigs per liter, you can never wean 9 pigs per liter. So to wean, like us, we are weaning 9.2 or 9. We started with 11. So you may think large litter size at birth is related to a pig mortality. And going to show you actually when litter size increased from 9 to 12, piglet mortality doesn't change much. I'm going to show you some data later. Second thing is our alternative producers had fewer litters weaned per sow per year. And I believe that's related to seasonal effect. We have problems during summer, other producers may have problems during winter, but anyway, that's the seasonal effect, I believe. Lastly is the feed efficiency. We saw the feed efficiency for our producers is the feed to gain is about 4 or something. And in Morris, we had 3 something, but it's still higher. So the feed efficiency may related to thermal environments in the whole barn, and also related to large group size, and also feed wastage. But today I'm going to focus on farrowing barns, not finishing barns. Any questions so far? Follow me understanding what I'm talking about? Good. Go ahead.
Feed efficiency, was that all the way from farrowing through finish, or was that just
growth finisher?
through finisher?
Yeah, starting from 50 pounds until 250. Growing finishing. Before I tell you about our research, first I give you a briefly overview of our production system in Morris. In Morris, we have a 6-stage sow farrow to finish unit, and we have 1 hoof barn for gestation, 1 indoor barn for gilts, for 20 gilts. And we have 1 indoor farrowing barn and 2 hoop barns for Goldfinch pigs. We use straw as bedding. The gestation barn has 4 pens in it, and each pen has 15 sows with individual feeding stalls. And this is the indoor barn for gilts. We have 2 pens. Each pen houses 10 gilts. Fincher hoop houses up to 250 pigs. Our farrowing barn is a kind of Swedish model. 8 sows in a room, and they farrow in individual pens, and they can get out of the pen, get in and out of the pen freely. I want to pay attention to the bar we put on the bottom of the pen. We put the bar after sows farrow to prevent piglets from getting out of the pen during the first 10 days. Communal area. And also, this picture, I want to know the bar. We actually, from 2006, we raised the bar a little bit higher to prevent the piglets getting out. I noticed some producers, they just let the piglets out whenever they can get out. And we found by confining the piglets in the pen, it really helped to reduce piglet mortality. Farrowing pens are removed when the piglets are at 10 days of age. And we wean the piglets at 5 weeks old. Our research has been focused on reducing piglet mortality. As I said, that's a major problem in our system. We have investigated sow effect, which is the effects of litter size, parity, individual variation among sows, and also fear response. And I'm going to talk about how each factor affects pig mortality later. And we also look at the seasonal effect because, as you see, we have a very high proving mortality during the summer. And we also look at the management effect. And also, we tested effect of piglets to see whether piglets also play a role in survival. And we look at the birth weight of piglets, how that affects pig mortality, sex of piglets, whether more male or female died, and cross-foster. I'm going to show you data for each factors here. So we all know that the large litter size is associated with high prevailing mortality, high piglet mortality. But what is the large litter size? How large the litter is? 10 pigs per liter, 12 pigs per liter, or 9 pigs per liter, 11 pigs per liter. So what do you think when you say large litter size? Any? No? I think our producer tried to have 9 pigs, 10 pigs to start with. Actually, this table, this figure, we got this figure from our 2-year study on 180 liters. And from this figure, you can see when litter size is lower than 12, piglet mortality doesn't increase much with increase in litter size. So actually, when you talk about large litter size, it really means litter size is larger than 12 pigs per liter. So when they go up to 13 pigs per liter, pig mortality started to increase dramatically. So any litter size smaller than 12 is not large at all. So I want our producers know that 12 piglets per liter is not large litter. So if you are looking at 9 pigs per liter, that won't work because you can't wean 9 pigs if you start with 9 pigs per liter. Any questions so far? No? So,
how many teats do a normal pig sow have?
14, I think, usually. But actually, when we say 13 pigs, we should have the sow should have enough functioning teeth. But the reason that why 13 is, because whenever litter size increase up to more than 13, the number of the smaller pigs in the litter is increased. That's a major thing. Later, I'm going to show you the birth weight, the effect of birth weight on piglet mortality. So it's not really the teeth, it's, the piglets maybe. So to manage the litter size, we say if you have more than 12 piglets, you need to cross-foster. Make sure you don't have more than that to reduce the competition and also to make sure the small piglets can get the function teeth. Second thing we are looking at is the parity. I'm not sure whether all of you will agree with me if I say older sows have a higher piglet mortality. Do you have that impression? No? You have parity 4?
Up to parity 4, I would think they would probably be better than the gill. I guess in my opinion.
Really? Actually, it's not true. In our herd, we have the highest parity is parity 10. We have very few, parity 8, 9, 10. But most of them under parity 6. So this data set came from our 5 years production data. And you see, under each parity, we have more than 80 liters. And we can see clearly in this table, when the parity go up to parity 3, pig mortality is higher compared with parity 1 and 2. Because this is production data, we haven't to control litter size or whatever. So we did another study. This is a control study. We equalize the litter size at birth, and then we see the effect of parity. Still, we see increase in pig mortality when parity go up to 3. And you may ask why, and we can discuss about that later, because I may not have time to talk too much. So we also want to know whether the old sows may farrow lower quality piglets, whether their birth weight is, make difference in terms of piglet mortality. So when we look at this, the birth weight, younger sows actually farrow lighter piglets, and older sows farrow heavier piglets. But you saw from the previous slide, older sows had higher mortality. So birth weight is not the reason for piglet mortality among the difference in piglet mortality among the sows. And also we look at the variation within the litter of birth weight. And again, there is no difference between parity 1 and the parity higher than 4. So variation is not the reason. We also look at the average data again, and there's no difference in the piglets among different sow parity. We look at the farrowing data. We videotape the farrowing behavior. And then we found that older sows, we found that when the parity go up to 4, sows spend longer time to farrow. They spend about 4 hours to farrow 1 liter. And the other sows spend about 3 hours to farrow. Interbirth interval. which means how long it takes the sow to farrow one piglet. And we see older sows had longer interbirth interval and large variation in interbirth interval. My laser doesn't come out. We also look at posture changes during farrowing. A lot of people say they crush a lot of piglets because they make too many times of posture change. So we look at that. Actually, older sows, they change fewer times posture compared with younger sows. They don't change posture a lot. So, and the same results were reported by other researchers in the literature. So I think one thing we are very clear is older sows have a higher piglet mortality. So we need to select, when we need to keep older sows, we really need to select sows carefully. And we should select sows based on litter size weaned. I'm going to tell you why later. And also we found older sows, they had prolonged farrowing duration and fewer posture changes, which may relate to higher pig mortality because prolonged farrowing duration may an indicator of difficult farrowing. And also a fewer posture change may mean they don't respond to piglets screaming, and which may relate to piglet crashing. You may argue with me, but that's what we found. So in terms of selecting sows, because you need to select older, when you need to keep some older sows in your herd, you need to select them carefully. How? We found that there's a huge variation in piglet mortality among sows. Some sows just start with very high protein mortality. Some sows started with very low piglet mortality. So we want to know how large the variation is and whether the variation is consistent from parity to parity and what caused the variation. So over the 5 years, we had 65 sows. They farrowed in the system for 3 to 6 times. And we summarize those data. This is the average piglet mortality during that 3 to 6 farrowings for each individual sows. So you can see from sow number 1 to sow 65, some sows had average piglet mortality around 15%, but others are higher than 30 even. The highest is 54%. So we do see a large variation in piglet mortality among individual sows. And then we estimate repeatability, which means whether it's consistent from parity to parity, from farrowing to farrowing. And the estimated repeatability is 0.25, which means 20% of the between sow variation can be passed on to the next farrowing. So if a sow had 10% of piglet mortality in this farrowing, the chances of having same piglet mortality for the next farrowing is 25%. You may think that's not very high. If it's 100%, she will have exactly the same piglet mortality during the next farrowing. But to reproduction performance, I think 25% is not that bad. Another thing to think of is there's a huge variation. Some sows just have 30%, some sows just have 10%. So there's a room you can work on. So that's why we suggest to select, when you select sows, piglet mortality should be considered. So we did another study looking at sow fear because we want to know what caused the variation, whether personality or a sow fear is related to the variation. So we use a behavior test to test to test the fear response of sows and to see how that related to piglet mortality. Here's the arena we use for the behavior test, and we use the safety corn as a novel object. So we recorded how soon the sow approached 20 inches of the safety corn and how long she stayed there and how soon she interact with the safety corn and for how long. And we also did human approach test. We recorded the same thing. Based on fear response, we classified sow as least fearful and most fearful. From the table, you can see that the least fearful sows weaned larger litter size, about 1.5 more pigs per liter than the fearful sows. And they also had lower piglet mortality. And another thing I want you to notice is the least fearful sows had fewer stillborns than the fearful sows. We also look at the piglets those sows farrowed, and actually there's no difference in piglets between fearful sow and least fearful sow. And we look at the farrowing behavior. There's no difference in farrowing duration. Interbirth interval, the fearful sows tended to have a longer interbirth interval and large variation from farrowing one piglet to another. Posture change, basically it's similar to the old sow. Fearful sows had fewer posture change during farrowing. So to manage fearful sows, I think the first thing is to identify fearful sows and how. First, you can look at fear response. I think a lot of producers may realize who is the fearful sow in the herd right away. And second thing, you can look at the litter size weaned, because less fearful sow usually wean larger litter size than the fearful sow. And then stillborn is another indicator to identify fearful sows, and also piglet mortality. Seasonal effect. As I said, we have problem in summer because our system has a heating and ventilation system, but we don't have any cooling system. And summer is really a problem for us. And when we summarize the data and put all the performance during the summer together, we see 30% of piglet mortality. And we only weaned 8 pigs during summer. That's across the 5 years. In other seasons, we really can control pig mortality around 20%, and we can wean about 9 piglets per liter. So actually, how to manage the seasonal effect, we don't know. We are still working on that. I think we are thinking about putting a fan or cooling fan or whatever. We haven't done that. That's why we are working with some ventilation companies. Okay. This is our performance data listed by year, and you can see from the very beginning until 2007, we see decrease in piglet mortality and increase in litter size weaned. And we think that is related to management. We did improvement in management. And I'm going to tell you what we did, or what the major thing we emphasize in terms of improving management. Number one, we move sows 3 days before due day. Before, we move them a week before due day. By delay moving them into the room, we can keep the pen cleaner, drier. If you move sows too early before they farrowing, they may mess up the pen. That's our experience. I don't know whether that works for you. Second thing, I mentioned we raised that roller or a bar on the top of the pen, or on the bottom of the pen, to prevent piglets from getting out of the pen. Because if some piglets getting out of the pen go to the communal area, the sow may nurse those pen in the communal area, and then piglets in the pen will miss that nursing. So that will increase piglet mortality. So we found that works too. That helps us to reduce piglet mortality. The third thing we did, before we process piglets right away after sow farrow. But now we delayed that until 3 days, all the piglets farrowed in the room. By doing that, number one, we do not disturb other sows who are farrowing in the room. Second thing, when piglets are older, they may gain more energy and they are more stronger to endure to stand the stress of processing. So we feel that helps too. Another thing is we ask the crew to spend more time in the barn and to identify sick sows and, if necessary, pull her piglets, cross-foster piglets, and treat the sow right away. And the last thing, we try to keep the pen dry as much as possible. So in terms of effect of piglets, we look at birth weight, sex, and cross-foster. We know lighter piglets have higher chances to die. And what's the light piglets mean? How light is light? And this is our 2-year study too. And we classify the piglets by lighter than 2 pounds at birth and higher than 4 pounds at birth, and the medium is the weight in between. And we found that when piglets are lighter than 2 pounds at birth, piglet mortality is really high. Piglet mortality is almost about 50%. But after 2 pounds, or whether the piglets are 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds, or 4 pounds, you don't see much change in piglet mortality. So it's really the lighter piglets who is lighter than 2 pounds are the most vulnerable one, and we need to take special care of them. In terms of sex, actually, there's nothing to do with piglet mortality. You don't see any difference in piglet mortality among the gills and barrels. So piglet mortality is totally same among the two sexes. Cross-foster doesn't affect piglet mortality at all. And in this figure, you see cross-foster even had a higher level of survival, because we usually cross-foster bigger pig. So I think producers probably do the same thing. When the bigger piglets are cross-fostered to other litters, they usually survive. So in summary, right now at the West Central Research Outreach Center, University of Minnesota, we had 19% of pig mortality. It's not perfect, but at least it's now 30%. We are still working on it, and we try to reduce it. We would like to see 15% pig mortality. And as I said, pig mortality is a big problem during summer, and we are still working on it. In terms of litter size and birth weight, litter size is higher than 12 is a problem. It's a larger litter. We need to avoid litter size larger than 12. But when litter size is 10 to 12, it's not large. So I want to remind that 12 piglets per liter is not large. But after that, it's large. Piglet weight, when the piglet is lighter than 2 pounds, that's a problem. After 2 pounds, it's not. We know older sows lost more piglets, and we still working on how to select sows when they are older. But if you look at the behavior part, longer fairing, duration, fewer posture change may be related to higher piglet mortality. Fearful sows is a problem, and identify fearful sows by looking at stillborn piglets, pig mortality, litter size, weaned. Repeatability of piglet mortality across parties, I said the repeatability is 25%. So when selecting sows, piglet mortality should be considered. Management, in our case, we need to alleviate thermal stress, heat stress. Cross-foster litters to avoid litter size larger than 12. Culled old sows, do not keep high percentage of old sows in the herd. Select piglets based on litter size weaned because the repeatability of preventing mortality across fairing. And we need to take special care of the lighter piglets. I don't think we should kill the piglets, but remember that when piglets are lighter than 2 pounds, they are vulnerable.